Hello, I'm Mark Hammett, minister of the Weber Road Church of Christ in Corpus Christi, Texas. I'm glad you've joined me for this daily devotional and Bible reading, and I hope that you'll turn to Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians chapter 6 is where a reading will come from today. I'll be reading from the English Standard Version. You can follow along in any version that you might have. You know, there's a man that tells a story of a time when his kids were young. They were all at a restaurant with TVs all over the walls. The TVs were playing cartoons with no sound. His youngest son, who was about 4 or 5 at the time, had his eyes glued to one of those television screens. He had never seen it, but he was viewing a continuous loop of the Roadrunner cartoons. He's watching as Wile E. Coyote was strapped to a rocket-propelled roller skates, how he shot himself out of a cannon. He launched himself from a giant slingshot in pursuit of the elusive Roadrunner. Well, after watching those shows intently for quite a long time, this little 4 or 5-year-old boy had an epiphany. Without taking his eyes off the screen, he quietly announced to the family, no matter what he does, he's never going to catch that chicken. That's a cute summary of the Roadrunner, but Wile E. Coyote really does remind us a lot of people who are in pursuit of the good life, yet they never catch it. Some try to accumulate wealth. Some try to accumulate friends on Facebook, but it leaves them feeling empty in the end. Some even try Christianity, hoping that if I become a Christian, God will give me the good life. But instead, life might get hard for them. They lose some friends. They're mocked, and Satan attacks in his own way because they're no longer on his side. And then they think, well, you know what? I'm not sure Christianity is really working out for me. I'm never going to get that chicken that I thought I was. And so they're tempted to go back to their old way of life and give up on Christ altogether. Does that describe you? I know there are those that might be listening to this, and that's about where you are in life. Are you about ready to give up on Christ? Please don't, because believe me, you're not alone. Many people since the early days of Christianity have felt that way, but many of them found the strength to persevere. They found the grace to keep on following Christ until He became more precious to them than anything else. Let's go ahead and read from our passage of Ephesians chapter 6, starting in verse 10. And hopefully this will be an encouragement to you to take confidence in. Ephesians chapter 6, starting in verse 10. Paul says, finally, be strong in the Lord and the strength of His might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm. Stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and as shoes for your feet, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God, praying at all times in the Spirit, with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert, with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints, and also for me, that words may be given to me in opening my mouth boldly to proclaim the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that I may declare it boldly as I ought to speak. What great words of encouragement for you to stay faithful, to stand firm, to make sure that you outfit yourself with the armor of God every single day of your life. And don't forget, in verse 18, part of that is praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. Don't leave out prayer, because it's just as important as every other piece of armor, Christian armor, that we might wear. May the Lord bless you richly as you seek to follow His will.